Welcome to my live stream live from Bangkok. I know what you're thinking. I'm watching an electric car YouTube channel, and this clown is telling me not to buy an electric car. How could it be? I will explain everything in a second because there's a couple of caveats, and there's a chance that you did not read the title of this video 100% correctly. But we'll talk about a lot of things. I will definitely take questions. Super chats are welcome. Actually, I'm doing this live stream on Thursday instead of Wednesday because I actually went to a different country for a few days. You can guess which country I went to, and I'll give you a clue. I have seen my first Cybertruck in the wild, in that country. Go. And I'll tell you more about it. And earlier today, I actually ended up in an emergency room for a second. For embarrassing reasons. But I said, no. I said, no, doctor, I am going home and I'm doing this live stream no matter what you say. And he said, dude, I'm something's going on with my mic already. Awful. Anyway, but I did go to the emergency room, but I'm here. All is well. So let's talk about why am I, Alex Guberman, who've been advocating for electric cars since I bought one myself in 2012, advocating about not buying one. Well, so I want you, if you are ready to buy a car, I want you to buy one right now, and I want it to be an electric car. Don't get me wrong. However, don't buy and don't buy a new electric car right now and for the rest of the year and probably way into the next year. Why? Because two reasons. One is electric cars are losing value like really badly. I mean, Model Y just did another poll that a lot of them lose half of the price, half of the value in the first year. There's plenty of other electric vehicles that they drop just as much. It is kind of insane. However, it does make sense because at the end of the day, the this is a fast moving technology, and of course you buy a car, you buy a regular gas car, in 3 years, it's kind of where you probably you assume it would be. But you buy an electric car, oh my god, so many things change. Like, I guarantee that by the time your 3 year lease is over, in just 3 years, there's a new type of a battery, everything's faster, everything, every car goes longer. So overall the technology devalues itself very quickly. So I think it's just a bad investment if you are going to just buy an electric car right now. On top of that, the price war is going on that Tesla has started and kind of even losing a little bit now because a lot of other people come in like GM and drop prices. So on top of that, that's happening. Now that's good for consumers, but it's not who are shopping for a new car. But it's not good for those who already bought one because that's how these cars lose half of its value in the first year. I can explain more if you want. Grab a calculator, but it's quite normal and it's been happening for a while. Here's what I suggest you do instead. Number one, that, by the way, there are exceptions, but here's what I think you do instead. One, look into used electric cars. My goodness, the deals that you can find right now for used electric cars are you'll never find that ever again, because essentially, because of the prices falling and because the electric car manufacturers are having such a hard time, these the on selling new cars, the used car prices are even more phenomenal because of that. And you can get almost a brand new electric vehicle with 5-10,000 miles on it for, like I said, half the price sometimes. Yeah, of course it applies a lot to luxury cars like Lucid Air, just like falls like a brick. But like, okay, I'm back. They just did a study. Let me know. I know my audio just going to disappear throughout the night. Just how it is right now, unfortunately. And I can see it here, so I'll correct it every time it happens. I don't know why it is happening, but it is happening. In even Model Y, it is now kind of a victim of that. So try to go and find an amazing used car deal, because a 1 year old electric car is still pretty good. I mean, they've been making them with over 300 miles and definitely way over 200 miles for a while now. And the benefit of that, buying a used electric car, is that you know what problems it has had and what fixes are out there. For example, Chevy Bolt, right? At some point, oh my God, nobody would touch those because there was every single one of them got recalled. But as soon as that happened, they became a great deal because not only you get a cheap bolt, you get a brand new battery for free with a longer range. So a lot of people bought, trying to get rid of them really quick, and a lot of smart people bought them for very, very, very cheap. So okay, now don't buy anything that looks good. Like Fisker Ocean is not a good buy right now. Okay, just like the Fisker car. But generally speaking, definitely somebody really asked me the other day that they want to pick up a used, electric car with under 30,000 miles. And if you looked at like Kia Niro EV or Hyundai Kona EV, my goodness, those are great deals because they have an extremely generous, a real world electric car range over 250 miles each. I think Kona has a little bit more. But at the same time, and I think they still look great. There's a good record of them not having any major issues at all, and the ones that did have, not just any issues, have been already resolved. There's a pretty big community. That's another thing. Now there are communities. I run some of the communities of these models that been out for a while, where you can actually get support. While if you're buying a brand new model, brand new car, there's nobody knows anything about it, but now there's a track record. So I would strongly, strongly, strongly recommend that you go and shop for a barely used 1 or 2 year old electric car. But if you want to get an electric car from 4 or 5 years old, you can still find some really, really good deals on pretty decent still electric vehicles. So that would be my number one suggestion. But my number two suggestion is, especially right now, lease an electric car. Leasing is a great way to avoid investing into having to deal with the economy and with a quick devaluation like all electric cars are having right now. That risk essentially being taken by the bank, and a lot of times right now, generally with a manufacturer, because they have to do it, together, and put some incentives for the bank, because the banks are not stupid. They're working off of the, federal rate most of the time, definitely in America. So but the deals that are happening right now with almost nothing down, you can get a pretty decent electric car for like 200, $300 a month. I think I've told you guys many times a story. My former assistant, who is now kind of a friend, he called me like half of a year ago. He's like, Alex, it's time for me to buy an electric car. I got the money, but Tesla Model Y, as far as the payments are concerned, is like half of everybody, all other electric cars that are comparable to it. I can't spend double just because it's not a Tesla. And he's also not the biggest Tesla fan, and I told him, no, go ahead and buy a Tesla if that's a great financial decision for you, and that's the only way for you to get into an electric car. Absolutely, go ahead and do that. So that is uh, uh, um, that is a second way to, and especially if you want a brand new car. I personally like brand new cars, especially when it comes to new technology. Because obviously they are under warranty for 3, 4, 5 years. Now the powertrain, battery and the motors, usually they're under warranty for like anywhere from 7 to 10 years. In some cases, some models had, like, I think, unlimited or ridiculous warranty on a powertrain. So that is your definitely second choice, and there are great deals every month for both, for leases and for used ones. And I think I just saw an article that I think Hertz already, or one of the rental car companies, is already selling some of their Silverado EVs at a very heavy discount. So um, these are the two different ways how I suggest you get a new electric car if you're shopping for one right now. For the rest of the year, like I said, probably at least halfway through the next year as well. Buying a new electric car right now, man, unless you just really, really want one, you will absolutely overpay in more ways than one. Most likely because of how fast it's going to lose value. So it is something to think about it, because I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to your money. It's your money. Um, Now I let, let me also address another issue before I probably see it in the comments here. Leasing. People are really scared of leasing, and this is when there are some exceptions. When it, like, if you drive 100,000 miles a year, you can't lease, right? Because leasing does have it does cap you at a certain amount of mileage. After that, you have to pay, which still makes sense. But so there are some scenarios where leasing maybe doesn't make sense. But I've always encouraged leasing. Leasing is a million times better than buying or financing a brand new car. It's only a brand new car. Uh, Now, let me get this off my chest right away. It's really tough to qualify for the $7,500 tax credit if your electric car qualifies. You probably do not, because of your income, because you've already bought one, many, many different ways. It is not that easy at all. As a matter of fact, most people probably won't. However, there is a loophole. When you are leasing a car, and by the way, even though I believe, I believe even if the car does not qualify, leasing a car automatically, in the eyes of this law, makes the car, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm going to say that, makes that car, I believe, a commercial deal, and therefore you are qualified for $7,500 tax credit. And usually the auto manufacturers and the banks pass it, right through to you. If they don't, run away. They absolutely need to pass it to you, because it's like they can't just pocket $7,500. So that's number one. You leasing your electric car will automatically qualify you for the $7,500 tax credit if the car is. But like I said, I think there's also a loophole for that. So that's number one. Number two, this is the only time you get to screw a bank, because the residual value, and in this case, you probably will, because the residual value is usually set at, let's say, about 50%. If at the end of your lease, the price is really 50%, which rarely happens, well, nobody wins, nobody loses. If it is more, then you buy that car out of the lease, though some, including Tesla, sometimes doesn't allow you. So make sure that that is permitted for you to buy the car out of the lease and sell it at the higher price, because the price is, what people are willing to pay for it. I've done this before. I made anywhere up to $5,000 on my lease. However, what's probably going to happen, in order to make those payments very small, they will up the residual value to something that it will never, hang on to. And what's going to happen is that the bank will, let's say, tell you that, oh, it's going to be 50%, but the value will be, let's say, actually 40%. And guess who eats that extra 10%? The bank. If you would have purchased that car and decided to get rid of it after, let's say, 3 or 4 or 5 years, you would have to eat that. So that's another great way to make sure that you don't lose money at the very least, and sometimes even win a little bit. Now, the third one is the sales tax. And that's another thing, is when you buying a car, you have to pay the full sales tax no matter what. However, when you're leasing a car, you're only paying the sales tax on the usage. So, for example, if you're leasing it for 3 years and it's a $100,000 car, that means you're only paying your taxes for the 50,000 that you're going to be using it for. You're not double paying it for the second one that's essentially you're not using, like you would with purchase of the car, right? There's at least these three different ways how you absolutely win when you leasing an electric car. But on top of that, and that's what I'm trying to tell you, is that right now the lease incentives, and specifically from Tesla and many others, are ridiculous because the auto manufacturers are essentially subsidizing the lease, right? Like the bank is giving you a deal, but the auto manufacturers throw in some of the money. Like for example, they're saying, well, you don't have to pay the interest on it. We'll take care of it, right? And they figure it out with the bank. So right now, it is definitely a great time to lease an electric vehicle, not just for those reasons that I mentioned, just because the deals are just so sweet. So uh, this is the reason why I'm telling you, don't buy an brand new electric car right now. Either buy used or get yourself a sweet lease deal. Now, of course, you have to qualify with a decent credit score and stuff like that, but these are just facts of life. All right, so let's talk about a few other things. I will I will go through some of your comments. By the way, it's great to see that people are watching us from Texas. I miss Texas, specifically Houston, not Austin. Screw you, Austin. Hated you. Sorry. All right, you told me I lost my mic. I know every time I lose my mic, trust me, this damn thing goes like, hey, do you know I just canceled your mic for a second? Great software, guys. Excellent. Um, Colorado, the land of out of spec, and Kyle. I don't know if that's something to be proud of, but sure. Um, okay, so here's one. Oh, let me tell you about which country I went to, and that's why I delayed this live stream by a day, almost by two because I ended up in an emergency room. But um, I went to Cambodia. And, the reason I went to Cambodia is because, as you guys know, I live in Thailand and Cambodia is like literally next door. My flight was 55 minutes and $100, round trip, and a luxury condo for 5 days was $150 on Airbnb. It's insane. So, and everything there, including food, is even cheaper than here. So by being there, I save some money on food, which is insane. But anyway, so this was my 27th country that I visited, and that's what I'm trying to do. Is basically whenever I have a little bit of time and I see a good deal, I buy a ticket to go to nearby country. Most of the countries here in Southeast Asia are great. Didn't know much about Cambodia. A lot of people kind of warned me that it's kind of I don't know, and I was like, we'll figure it out. Like the only country I wouldn't go to right now is Myanmar because they do have a war going on. But the rest is, I think, a fair game. After this, I'll probably go to Laos and Indonesia, specifically Bali. But anyway, so I get there to Cambodia, and honestly, guys, I almost lived an entire life in 5 days. It was amazing. And one of the best things about Thailand is Thai people. Thai people are amazing. They're kind, they're respectful. I mean, you know. So and Cambodian people, honestly, can definitely compete with that. Loved Cambodian people. It's interesting that even though the country is a little bit, you know, poor, I would say. I hate using that word, but it is. The architecture, and I think it was there was an effect from French, um, is more interesting. There's more accents on buildings and more curvatures, and balconies are kind of cute. It's just I really enjoy, even though like it's old, kind of rundown buildings, but they have such beautiful sort of bones. I would say really like that. Love Cambodian food, obviously. There were some people who actually spoke Thai with me, so it was good because every time I go to another country, I kind of lose a little bit of my Thai, which is barely even not decent. It's quite bad. Um, so it was great. I mean, I honestly fell in love with it. I had one of the best Airbnb experiences. I had one of the best airport experiences. Their airport lounge is like one of the best I've ever seen, and I've been to so many airports. And their airport is tiny. It's like one landing strip and like 10 gates, and yet their lounge was one of the best. So I just freaking enjoy it. But on the way to the airport, and you guys know the Cybertruck game, right? You lose the Cybertruck game when you see your first Cybertruck in a while. Now, I saw the Cybertruck in person at the unveiling, but that doesn't count because that was not in the wild. And I remember I made a video about this because I didn't know people made it into the game, and I was bragging how I'm going to last for a while because what kind of idiot would bring a Cybertruck to here, because especially Bangkok, because the space is tight here. There's a lot of traffic. Cybertruck is way too big. Parking is going to be a bitch. Like, who in the world would do it? Now, I do have to say that my Thai teacher told me she already saw a Cybertruck here in Bangkok a week ago. But as I was going to the airport in Cambodia, where most cars, by the way, and you guys are going to think I'm kidding, but you've seen the video I posted as evidence on my social media. Half of the freaking cars are like 10-year-old Priuses. I was in Prius hell, just Priuses everywhere. And you know how I feel about Priuses. Not the latest one. The latest one is just a gorgeous piece of art. But before that, before they hired designers, it was crazy. I feel like it was the same designer who designed the Cybertruck. Except for he just went blind for the second eye after that. So, but there's just so many Priuses, but mainly 10, 15-year-old cars in Cambodia. And I was in the capital, Phnom Penh. And on my way to the airport, I look to the right and there's like exotic car dealership. I see some Ferraris and boom, I see a Cybertruck. I'm like, crap. I lost. It's definitely a private Cybertruck. The funny thing, it was wrapped. And my teacher also told me that the Cybertruck she saw, it was wrapped, which is, how stupid is that? I thought people wrapped cars in general because they want these cars to stand out from others. So, for example, a certain model has 5, 6, 7 colors available, but you wrap it in a different color, and boom, your car is more unique without like doing stupid things to it, right? But why would you wrap a Cybertruck in a country where you probably have the only one Cybertruck? So, and I think if you decide to go with the damn thing, the stainless steel does look probably the best, I guess, for what it is. So I just don't understand it. I'm working on a video right now, by the way. The I, I, the worst Cybertruck mod that I've ever seen. It's by a celebrity, and I'll give you a guess, so you guys maybe can guess right here. She's got as bad of a taste in cars as she has in men. Go. Which celebrity am I talking about who has made her Cybertruck look even fugglier? So anyway, so that's how I lost a Cybertruck game in the country the least, where I expected the least to do that. And I really thought I was going to last much, much longer, especially being here in Bangkok. But it looks like probably would have lost it here as well. At the same time, I understand there's like tens of thousands of Cybertrucks all over the place, and it was going to happen sooner or later. Let me know, is there anybody in the chat room right now watching me who has not lost the Cybertruck game? And again, the rule is that if you've seen a Cybertruck out and about in the wild, right? I don't know if showrooms count. Yeah, showrooms don't count. You lost. So let me know. All right, now let me get to the next topic, and this is a question I definitely wanted to address. CB250F says, I'll just switch back to gas, more convenient. This sucks that we see these comments, because I used to see this comment and go like, well, he's an idiot. What can I do? But I have to say that I do no longer blame people like this, where the amount of trouble, because I thought, okay, listen, if you buy an electric car, you're like a first adopter, even throughout the first 5-6 years, or if you're buying a first model of a brand, you're still kind of a guinea pig. But my goodness, it's I'm lost for words, honestly. But now that we are more than a decade in, all right, we still don't have good enough infrastructure. As a matter of fact, infrastructure is worse now. I would say 4 or 5 years ago, there was enough working sort of, fast chargers, definitely superchargers, but there weren't enough electric cars to create consistent lines it was like during holidays. Okay. But now regular days, people stand in lines, whether it's superchargers or Electrify America, non-super. I mean, it is a problem. So it is more than uh, there's more trouble now charging than ever before. And I have not seen any laws on ordinances, even in California cities or in California as a state, that would mandate the apartment complexes to start installing chargers, dedicated chargers. I don't even understand why they're not doing it on their own, because essentially they can charge extra for the charger. Like you can say, hey, if you want to get a parking spot with a charger, well, that's going to be an extra $100 a month or whatever. And then you also pay for electricity that we will mark up. Like it's nothing but money for these guys. And yet no one's doing it. And plus, you're going to get a lot of owners of electric cars that paid enough money for those cars where they are financially responsible enough to be able to pay rent on time. So listen, universe does not make sense for me lately. So sorry if I'm yelling at the birds, but it's definitely. But now with all the issues that electric cars had that kind of have not been going away, with the lack of the infrastructure, appropriate infrastructure, um, people are switching back to gas. And I gotta say, I mean, I'm gonna admit that, like for example, I'm in a new city, right? I don't want to have a car here no matter what. It just makes no sense to me. Uh, but if I was forced to have a car here in Bangkok, and I wasn't running an electric car channel, I was just a regular dude, but with the same brain, I would probably go like, yeah, I probably should still drive a gas car here. Um, I know in America and North America and Europe things are much better, but at least here I can go to the fast chargers. There's not as many, but there are plenty, and there won't be a line. Where in the US there's a pretty good chance. So I gotta say that unfortunately these comments are no longer like crazy people who are not educated about electric cars. They think that they all blow up in smoke and all of that stuff. There's some of it there, but these are people who go in like, yeah, I have nowhere to charge. Forget that. Forget that. So it's unfortunate that we're now at the point where I, I'm afraid that there will be too many people switching back to the gas cars, and we're going to have to sell that concept to them again much later, and it will slow down the electric car revolution, which is not really a revolution anymore, right? It is yeah. So, all right, we have a crazy super chat from Rob. Rob has been the super chat master, and nobody was ever able to beat him. They've tried, but today Rob decided to beat himself with a freaking $50 super chat. Rob, I mean, I thank you. Does not really cover. By the way, the reason it says funny thing here is because I'm using software that combines, like I'm streaming to 5 different platforms, and this is essentially describing a character that if you're watching me on YouTube, But Rob, listen, thank you so much. For those of you who haven't seen my live streams, I'm in Thailand, so 50 American dollars. Even though American dollars has fallen really, really hard lately, it's still about what you would consider in America $250, because everything here is about 4 to 5 times cheaper. Um, so it is. Thank you so much, Rob. And I gotta tell you, as you guys know, lately I have not been getting sponsors. I have not been trying to kind of make money with this. I've been trying to do different things with the channel. And as you probably told you last time, that I'm probably going to stick to live streams, and I'm going to try to make them maybe a little more interesting with some guests and stuff like that. But and definitely covering more electric car news, probably in a few weeks. So the super chats and essentially going to be definitely welcome income. $250 or whatever, $50, which is around 1,700 baht, is definitely good for. You can squeeze like a week worth of dinners out of that easily. So Rob says, sorry, I'm late to the stream. I don't worry about it. I know I did. I if you're late, so I was in Cambodia. I came late today. I almost didn't do the stream because I ended up in the emergency room for embarrassing reasons. It looks like I'll be okay. I don't know what the hell. All right, maybe my dinner. So yeah, it's been a trip. But glad to have you, Rob. Let me know if you have any questions, obviously, and if anybody else wants to super chats obviously do the get the priority. All right, so let me catch up. Okay, so I think one of you guessed this correctly. The Cham, that's right, Kim Kardashian, and I'll release a video about it in the next couple of weeks because we're working on it very slowly. Pimped her Cybertruck in the worst possible way. I honestly, I don't. And she painted it. She had it painted. Who paints stainless steel? I I guess her. That's fine. All right. Jeremias, one of the love OGs here says, "Do you miss Chipotle or do they have that there?" I do miss Chipotle. We do not have Chipotle here. But I kind of had places that I've discovered that I go to on daily basis. For the first year or so, it was this place where they did sliced duck fillet over rice with blood cubes. They like boiled blood. Anyway, I know you guys think it's disgusting. I love blood cubes. And he brought a bowl of soup for $1.80. I'm sure it's a little bit more now because of the dollar for falling, but uh and now I'm kind of end up like last couple of weeks I ended up switching from it just because I don't know, I really got burnt out. Chipotle never got boring, but that got a little boring, and so I switched to a few other places. But I do miss Chipotle. When I was in America in January for CES, I definitely loaded up on Chipotle, and I definitely missed it. But it was also like, Chipotle wasn't just about food. It was also coming having I'm a man of a routine 80% of the time and complete. Let's go to Cambodia for a few days. I don't know anything about that country. Let's check it out. So, but but coming to the same place, you know what you're gonna get. The Chipotles that I usually would pick were the areas where you could chill and like catch your messages and just get a little break from the day. So I miss that, and not just the food, but definitely miss the food. So yeah. Mr. R is asking, was it food poisoning? No, food poisoning is not uncommon here, but like my stomach has kind of already worked itself out. I mean, I eat like chicken hearts on a stick at the street vendor that cooks it at home and puts it in the cart and pushes it. Like no regulation, but I'm used to that kind of food. A lot of times when you do get food poisoning or some bacteria and stuff like that, a lot of times it has nothing to do with the food. It has a lot to do with either you or someone else not washing their hands. And I did get a couple of those, but no, that wasn't it. I mean, I hate to admit it, but like for the last couple of nights, as I went out, whenever I got into the loud room that was hot, which is kind of weird because it's really hot in here and humid. And a lot of times when I go to like events, there's like so many foreigners there and they fucking smoke. I hate it. Um, and once I started speaking louder, all of that combination has started to like my lungs felt like when you're blowing up a balloon and you get kind of dizzy. I started feeling dizzy like a child. And last night I was like, all right, all right. It was really hot and humid, and I was yelling, and there was a lot of smokers, and I was smoking cigarettes, and they're e-cigarettes, something that's fine. But then I went out to this like dating event tonight, and the same thing started to happen. I'm like, oh my god, let me just. In my hospital is a kind of a medical group here. It's not like only like for people who are dying. So let me go there, and it's one of the best hospitals in Southeast Asia. So I go there, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I needed the fainting couch, and yeah, they ran some tests. They're like, dude, nothing's wrong with you. So which is like, I don't know if you ever had this, but like when you think you have something like serious, right, going on, and you get to a doctor, and the doctor goes like, well, there's nothing wrong with you medically, and you go like, yeah, but crap, I still don't know what's wrong with me. So I still don't know what's wrong with me. So we'll have to figure that out. So that's what happened. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, so this is a good question. So Matthew's asking, if you aren't trying to get money from this, how are you making money? If you don't mind me asking. So okay, so uh, one, I live in a country where I've lived pretty modestly for most of like last 10 years or so. So like for example, I don't eat like Western food. Yeah, I don't eat burgers and pizza and all that crap, and I don't go to Starbucks. I eat Thai food that I like and street food here. So my expenses are very low there. I don't know. I don't have a car here. I love the subway and SkyTrain, and I love taking Grab where I don't have to worry. It's a self-driving robo taxi with an amazing Thai person driving it. So and I really don't spend money on anything. The only thing that I just spend a little bit more money than I was before is I actually just signed a lease on even better condo. Like I do have to say that I live in amazing condo um, tower. So and now I've upgraded it to the one with like stunning view with it does. I don't want to humble brag or whatever it's called. So in the beginning of this, so my expenses are relatively small to like anybody can live. You can live here quite well on like $3,000. You know. So anyway, and I don't want to talk about like tax breaks and stuff like that. But anyway, so and I usually made a lot of my money in the beginning of the year because I did some sponsored deals and after CES after everybody. So I made enough money where essentially it's enough for me to pay my salary for a while. And then I made a few other deals with other brands that you probably saw. So that's enough. And honestly, I have property in America that I receive money from, right? And I also have, investment portfolio. So I technically don't really have to work anymore at all. But uh and so what I was trying to do with this channel, as you guys probably know, I took a break for like 2 months, so 3 months in the beginning of the year. And then I started producing new content. Um and I went with it throughout the entire summer until September this month. And these were all shorts, so you don't get paid much for shorts. It's hard to get sponsors, and on top of that, sponsors now are not like if you watch other YouTubers in the same niche, you probably see that the sponsorships have really decreased a lot, and some people have no sponsors, or they would have a sponsor, but they'll get like free stuff from them or a little bit of money, but nothing like what it used to be, and it's kind of across the industry. Um, but I love doing this stuff, so I guess I'm doing it kind of sort of for free. But I also have some staff that I want to keep going and keep paying their salaries and stuff like that. So yeah, I wanted to see this year if I can turn the channel maybe in a different direction. And if that's not going to work, I'll probably do these live streams no matter what. I love doing this. But as far as like producing content that you guys see me produce, we'll see. But like I told you, I'm thinking about starting a channel about single man moving from Western countries to traditional countries, whether it's Southeast Asia or South America, Africa in some cases, and talking about the a weird phenomenon that's been dating in modern Western communities. So that's probably something where I definitely have a lot to not only say but also tell people if men believe that they want still to create a traditional family and they can't find it in America or a Western country that you're in, you can find it in countries where you are appreciated still as a traditional man. But it's not very easy. People move here like and don't realize that one thing they cannot change is themselves, right? They bring themselves in here without preparing themselves for the new life, for a new outlook, for new opportunities. And they end up with the same type of women because they're still the same type of men. Um, I would like to start a channel where I would encourage men to better themselves, be able to set themselves up to be able to live in a foreign country, which means you have to make income online. You can't get an office job anymore. But at the same time, people say, well, I, I'm making $120,000 right now. I can't make that, online. And even if I start a business, it's going to take a while. But what they don't realize is that you can, get a customer support job, or a freelance job on Upwork, make make 30, $40,000 a year, end up having your tax exclusion. And again, I don't want to give any legal or tax advice, but get to keep most of it a lot of times, and live you know great in countries like this. So I want to talk about all of this, and start a channel and encourage men to look, and tell men that they do have options. not only in dating and a dating pool if they want to start a traditional family, but also in better healthcare. Um, you know how much I had to wait for an emergency room today at the best freaking hospital in Southeast Asia with um, doctors? Literally in 0 seconds. Like as I walked up to the counter, they're like, "Let's get this going." You know. So, and I think I was released within like half an hour, and that included a heart test. You know, and all of that. Now, my insurance covered it, but all of that, even if I had to pay cash for an emergency visit with a heart test, I mean, think about the number in your mind, how much it's going to cost in your country. But here, it was, I'll tell you, I think it was $120 for the whole thing. You know, so also, as you know, I talk about safety being a big deal here and many other things, and just respectful, amazing people. So that's something that I'm probably going to start. um but yeah, so right now I don't really need to make that much money, and I'm okay with just doing this for, yeah, just to keep things going. And let's face it, electric car universe has not been, exciting enough to make exciting videos enough to, earn that much money anyway, and I'm okay. uh, uh Probiotic treatments can be very good for such food poisoning, says psychonomic. So it wasn't a food poisoning. It was what? Food poisoning, I would not go to emergency room. I would know what it is and where to go for that. I have a room for that emergency. But I like being like feeling like you're just about to faint because you're talking too loud. That's a little weird. All right, let's go back. Mr. Case, Mr. R says in the USA, an ER visit with an EKG is probably around $1,500 or more, probably more. But yeah, that's probably at the very least, right? Depending on the state. So yeah. Well, but in this case, here's the thing: I have insurance that doesn't have any deductibles, doesn't have any copays, doesn't have emergency room fee. I paid nothing today, nothing. I just walked in been seeing one of the best doctor emergency rooms out here, and walked out in 30 minutes. Everything was quick. I paid no money, got checked out and left. I literally was going to go back to the event, except for I really did not like the event. Uh, it's weird. The event was about like dating, this new dating app that they tried to get going, where a man would tell a woman what kind of lavish date he would take her on, and I would be like, What? We're in Southeast Asia, right? I I don't know. We'll see. Good luck to them, but they're definitely not for me. Um, oh, Mr. Ross says I was talking about Cambodia because I was in India. I get food poisoning at times in India. Well, that's different. Okay, I've been to India and I I have nothing positive to say. I'm sorry. This is one of the few countries I did not like. Uh, but Cambodia, I absolutely loved. Absolutely loved. But don't forget, sometimes it's your own hands that are dirty, and the food poisoning happens from you, not from the food. Um, Let me scroll back up here. Thank you for $50 super chat, by the way. Um, Yorma Tolkien says, I don't need charging stations because my daily trips are less than 250 kilometers, but you do need the dedicated charging station at home, which a lot of people don't have, especially in cities where a lot of people rent apartments and condos. And even people renting houses don't always have access to that. So the infrastructure is a problem no matter what, right? If you're in an apartment in America or most countries, it's a problem. Mr. Ross says, what insurance company is that? So I don't know if I should be giving out my like personal information, even though it's just an insurance company, but there are plenty of insurance companies here that will insure you very well, very well. Except, and this is one of the things I'm going to talk on my channel, is because a lot of expats come here and go like, oh, it's so cheap. I go to check it, it's only like $10, $20, $50 or whatever, or something like happened to me today where I had to do like a hard test. It was only $120. Why bother with insurance? But what they don't understand is that there is no Obamacare here. They absolutely do exclusions for your pre-existing conditions. So if you do get an actual health problem, you will have to pay for it literally for the rest of your life. And if it's something serious, it's going to cost you a lot because, yeah, a government hospital will cost you very little, but a nice private hospital, that will still add up. Like today, if I would have had to pay cash, yeah, I would have paid much less than in America, but $120 is $120. It's still a good amount of money, if you ask me. So it's and so they don't get the insurance, and then by the time they're like, oh, I should probably get insurance, the insurance goes like, well, I'm sorry, not for that. So that's one of many things I want to teach this man who come here or wants to come here, even though they come here for better dating pool, more traditional women, but you still have to live here, right? You still have to have a family here, and you still have to provide for that family. And if you made a bunch of bad financial decisions or just it's going to be a tough life for you here. So it is very important to understand. And I can tell you about this. Only someone like me who's, still remembers the old life because I'm not that far removed from it and have plenty of friends and connections, but already lived here long enough to tell you what's happening here. Because I got to tell you, I took a year to research, moving into this country, and and I got advice not from just close friends, but no, not just from the internet and videos and communities, but also from close friends. And even with that, all of them meant well. 80% of it turned out to be not true or not true anymore or not true for my case. Um, so yeah, you gotta. I feel like I can really change people's lives or make them better by having that channel. Um, Mr. Ross says, "Oh, I have nothing to say positive about India either. I would pick Haiti over India." Yeah, I mean, I did. I mean, I'm sure there are nicer areas than I was, but I was in Delhi City, right? You know, yeah. Um, The best part, says Rob, the best part, Alex, is no wait for your ER visit here in Sacramento, where I'm from. You'd wait 4 to 8 hours to be seen. As you know, Bangkok is sounding pretty nice. Yeah, actually, the healthcare is not just great because of the quality of doctors, still great. The equipment is great. There's a lot of drugs that are available here that are not available in America because of some bureaucracy bullshit. Like a lot of antibiotics that we take here are not available in America. And look, an average Thai man lives longer than an average American man, so looks like it's all right. And one of the best benefits of this is the wait times. I think I've given you guys examples of me having to go through the same sort of health issue in Sacramento, right? Versus here, and the difference was between 5 weeks and 2.5 hours. I mean, that should blow your mind, and obviously, huge difference in price. Yeah, so that's one of those things. Like today, right? Like, I felt like, I play soccer, I don't drink, I don't drugs, I'm in a pretty good, health. I've been doing health checks here, which are extremely thorough, like full body scans and stuff like that. Like, how is that I am almost fainting from talking? Something's really wrong, right? But I was able to get in, get checked very quickly, very affordable, and be on my way knowing that nothing's wrong with me, at least not right now, at least not physically. So yeah, absolutely. Bangkok and Thailand and many other countries sound great, and for many other reasons. Um, the champ says, Andrew Tate says, you can do it, become that top G. Yeah, so Andrew Tate has kind of served his purpose by sort of putting an issue of men's rights and struggles dating with modern women on the map. I still think he's a crazy person, and I don't agree with a lot of his stuff, and definitely a lot of what he's actually done. He's probably going to serve time in prison, I think. That's where he's going to end up. But there are better representatives of traditional men, struggling to kind of find the same dating pool as everyone's been used to for a long time. Things are completely out of whack, completely out of whack. Even here, like yesterday I went to this event where most people were foreigners, and obviously lots of foreign women. And it's amazing how foreign women, who, from what I know, have almost never get wifed up here ever. And whenever I ask other foreign men, like, would you date a foreign girl? Majority of them just laugh in my face, right? And now I do too. I join them when somebody asks that. But and you would think that they would change their behavior, like, oh, if I want to find a husband in a country that's traditional and with all these traditional Thai women, like I should probably like be more traditional, right? No, does not at all resonate. So let's see. Um, Rob says, if I shouldn't buy a new EV now, too late. What should I buy? Well, I'm not really sure what you're asking, Rob. Um, yeah, can you ask that again? So, are you saying you want to buy an electric car right now? Because like you missed it. Forget. Okay, so my advice was, do not buy a new electric car. Lease a new electric car or buy a used electric car. The deals are stunning. And if you do buy a new electric car right now, you're going to lose a lot of money, versus the other way where you're actually probably going to win a lot of money, especially comparing if you compare it to buying a gas car for the same type of a deal, right? Um, I'd like to see you doing live, walking around Asia, different varieties of food, just what it is like living in Asia. So there's so many channels like that nobody needs me for that. I think I'm very unique in terms of I was looking for a specific type of a woman, which is a traditional woman. I am a traditional guy in many ways, even though it's a very, like, some people tell me, Alex, but you don't do this with women, and you want them to do this, like you want them to still have a job. Old school, call me whatever word, and and I specifically moved here for that reason. But I still had to leave the life behind that I had, which was a good life, and create a new life here. Also, every day I've been, what, way over a year now, almost a year and a half, and I just learned a brand new thing about Asian traditional women that just hit me. Um, I definitely can save people, not just you know time, but also money. People come here, they don't understand that there's visas. You have to get a certain visa because you can't just, like, yeah, if you're a tourist, you come in whatever 1 2 weeks to. But if you're going to live here for a long time, you can't just stay here, man. You have to have a very appropriate visa. Some countries don't have visas for foreigners who come here and want to live here for forever. Unless you have like a job with a company that does business in that country, which, like in my case, that's not the case. So yeah, it's a thing. So yeah, I don't want to do the food thing, and also, there are privacy laws around here where you can't just point camera and every, like in America. If you're in public, you're fair game. Not here. Laws are very strict here. Also, you don't want to accidentally, to show or whatever, do something that will offend the royal family. Things have been done where, like, people would test, like, I think there's some YouTuber who was filming something, and he threw shoes into his backpack, but his backpack also had money, and here on our money we have the king on the face of the money, and you can't do that. That's considered to be offensive to the royal family. So you can accidentally do stuff like that during a live stream. So this is a very different country. Don't, like, you cannot do shit like that here. So walking around, live streaming, I know this guy Speed, right? I ran into him literally, or he ran into me when I was in Cambodia. All of a sudden, people started running in this mob and stopped the traffic. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? Is there a revolution going on? Like, now this YouTuber Speed is coming over to have ice cream across the street where I was. But you can't do that, right? You cannot do that. These countries have very different types of cultures and very different types of, if not laws, then rules. And you do not want to offend somebody who lives here and want to die here. Um, I don't want to do stuff like that to this country. I really, really like it. So no, my channel will concentrate on men's rights, men's challenges, finding traditional women, and moving to different countries where they are valued and appreciated, and being able to make that very, very difficult life transition without making a million mistakes that a lot of these dudes make, and then wonder what happened, right? They either don't understand how to meet these women because they don't wait for you at the airport. They're not easy to find, or they run out of money, or they get into tax trouble, or they can't fix their health because they don't have health. I want to put a comprehensive channel about why a man like me should move to out of US or whatever Western country you live in. And I want to create products, like digital products, like courses on how. So, and Rob says, with your communication skills, Alex, you do well at the advice channel. Thank you, but we'll see. Because unfortunately, whenever you talk about, whenever you criticize women, it is considered to be hate speech. I know it sounds freaking crazy, but if you, for example, say, modern women nowadays, they take career over family, that video can be labeled as hate speech. I kid you not, because guess who runs these platforms? You know, yeah. So it's going to be a problem. I know some men who run, and women who run these type of channels, and they get death threats, and they try to get canceled. So, like, luckily, I'm in Thailand, but and I live in a secured community, but it's a thing. It's a problem. All right. WTF, says Christian. Please explain. I'm happy to answer, but I don't know. I don't know what that means. Okay, let me scroll back because there's few. Oh, Mr. Ross says Cambodia seems cool. It's just not as developed as Thailand. That is true. That is true. But at the same time, a lot of people who I did meet there said basically it is so cheap that 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 I mean, I hate to say this, but a lot of these guys were kind of like they couldn't make it in Thailand. I was like, how can you not make it in Thailand? Like, I mean, honestly, just get a customer support job for, like, 40 grand a year, and you're gonna live well in, Thailand, and definitely Bangkok, or Bangkok and definitely the rest of the Thailand. But how are you not able to do even that? So I've met some guys that I have to say this, like, one thing that, like some of them, like their jobs took them to Cambodia, right? Or they are running a business where Cambodia is like a major exporter or whatever. They just ended up importing Priuses from Japan because they had some connection, right? Like, people just land in some countries just because of their lives. But these guys, some of them, like, came in because they couldn't even afford Thailand. But things are very, very cheap. Like I said, the flight to Cambodia, of 5 days, 4 nights at the luxury condo Airbnb that included an amazing rooftop, all amenities. That was a 24/7 service building. $250 for everything. You know, so it's very, very, very cheap. All right. So the champ says Alex buying Tesla Model Y in December because crazy incentives in Colorado. I qualified for included 6,000 vehicle exchange and sell it for the Rivian 2 in 2026. Okay, so this is a good example of Tesla giving some crazy incentives where it's kind of like they beat others not in pricing but also incentives, and they also in APR, in lease deals. And that's exactly what happened to my former assistant, that he was like, Tesla Model Y was way cheaper than a Mustang Mach-E or a Volkswagen ID4. But at the same time, I got to tell you guys, try to look for used car deals, and they're not that used. I mean, some people just don't like them. I haven't bought a used car in a long time, simply because I do like the warranty and it is important. But you can buy a used car, like, for example, if you buy a used Volkswagen or Ford or whatever, there are plenty of independent shops that will be able to fix it still for you. So even out of warranty, they're okay. But don't forget the motor and the battery, which is essentially the most important part, is covered by warranties from, for a long, long, long time. So if you buy a 2-year-old or 1-year-old used electric vehicle, you can get like half off. And don't forget that tax credit is for sure built in. They surely claimed it. They sure lowered that price for you. So that's what I absolutely think that people should do. Did Rob just send me another $50? Rob, I hope you're multi-millionaire, because at this point I would even feel bad taking your money. But thank you so much. This is incredible. if anything, like you don't even ask questions sometimes. You just, you're just throwing money. I appreciate it. I really do. You're making it rain. Like I said, you just made me speechless because you just drop $100 at me here. So thank you. And like I said, in Cambodia, that's even more money. So, but interesting thing about Cambodia, they so anybody knows what Cambodian money is called, but without googling it. Okay, I did not. I didn't even know how to pronounce the capital where I was going to until literally my flight. I was like, I should really learn this. And it was some names are hard for me to learn. I don't know why, but anyways, Phnom Penh. But it's Cambodian rial is their money. I should have kept some of it. I did, but they also have U.S. dollars as equal currency, meaning like you can buy stuff for cash anywhere for either real or U.S. dollars. So it was really kind of cool because I ended up I ended up like running out of cash because nobody accepted credit cards there, and my scan where a lot of in these countries you pay everything by bank transfer, but my Thai bank is not working in Cambodia. So I instead of getting more of their current currency, their local currency, I ended up getting US dollars. And I haven't touched US dollars in a long time. And I kept them because buying US dollars right now is kind of investing because once the US dollar rebounds, you essentially made all of the fees back and then some. I'm actually thinking about like maybe buying $1,000 with my Thai bot here because I can make a little bit on this. So yeah, it's kind of cool. But anyway, Rob, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. You've been amazing, and thank you for just hanging out to all of you guys because this is fun. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'd rather keep doing this. Okay, so Psychonomics pushes back, says Alex, those jobs have 2,000 applicants each, not enough to go around. Listen, yes and no. There's always a way around. You know, you can apply for customer service jobs, but you can also apply. Like it depends. Like for example, if you're moving to another country, there's a possibility you're multilingual, right? So there's an advantage. If you're moving to another country, you're more likely to take a night shift because it's your day shift, right? And you're willing to do that. So there's less applicants for that because some people just cannot do night shifts, right? If they have kids, if they have spouses who are not normal schedule, that pool is much less. So there's always an answer. But I also said that there are other things ways how you can make money, right? uh, Upwork, for example. I mean, I know people who make money with their voices, right? Their voice talents. All they have is a nice microphone, a little bit, I wouldn't even say a studio, but a little setup where they can really produce good sound, bought a little software to enhance it and stuff like that. And that's how I do it. Some people are editors. My editor, charges good money actually. And he edits, or there are researchers, people who literally like YouTubers need researchers. You think that I can research everything ever? No. When I'm doing top 5 lists of electric cars that go the furthest on one charge, I have my researcher double check and go to the government sites and transfer the different rating system and into EPA. Like, and what he does is just Google stuff for me, right? Um, so there's a lot of different things you can do. You can also buy stuff. Like I can buy stuff here in Thailand, like handcrafted stuff, and import it in America and sell it there. Now, no, I'm not saying all of this is easy, but all of these are possibilities. People do it all the time. And what I'm saying is that listen, if you want this amazing freaking life, if you want, be able to go on a date with a traditional woman who's not going to be half an hour late, demand that you buy her $100 dinner, and then it'll tell you that she's not even going to bother wearing makeup for you. Like if you actually want someone who comes to the dates wanting to have a family, having a good family system, and then also have good health care, not worry about being stabbed or shot or robbed all the time walking around your town. Like it's worth working a little bit harder to get some of these jobs. So beat out those 1,999 applicants. There are ways to do it. I'm not saying, listen, I live by a few kind of like, I guess they're a little bit cliche phrases or sayings, but I actually live them. So for me, they're not cliches. But for example, nothing worth having ever comes easy. Okay, if moving to this to another country and just having all these women fall to your feet would be easy, well, everybody would do it and be very successful at it. But no, this is difficult. This is why I'm going to charge like $1,000 for my course, if not more, because I will be telling people how to actually change their lives to such a much more like next level, and how to do it and how it's been done, what worked, what didn't work, and then you'll definitely save more than $1,000. I think this is going to be one of the best services I will ever offer because there are very few men, very few people who are in a position like I am to be able to put together a product like that. So yeah. All right. So RP says, bad advice: don't buy a gas car. Well, that's not bad advice. That's a more general advice, but it's easier said than done because some people just, like I said, we've talked about it, right? Like sometimes you kind of like you have to understand most people just want to get through their day, in any country. They just want to get from their house to drop off the kids to, get to job and then maybe take a quick lunch and then come home to their families, right? They're not like, a lot of us here who maybe have a luxury to, to also go and hang out at a supercharger location or whatever, or spend extra money to install the charger at the apartment complex. You know what I mean? Like, they don't care. They just want a car. So the job of this industry, which I think we've been failing greatly this year, is to make sure that what we're offering, an electric car industry, which is an electric car, is better than what they are used to, which is gas cars. Now, I got to tell you, here in Bangkok, there's a very good preview of what's going to happen because these Chinese cars that are all over the place, they're freaking beautiful. Okay. They are slick and they're freaking cheap, and they're amazing. And I mean, I see more. The other day, I saw this car. I'm like, I don't even know what this car is. Like, this is my job, and I don't know. And it's on the street. It's already in production. Turns out to be Avatar, and I'm like, what an amazing, gorgeous car. Like, I was like, do you think it's like 100 to I was with somebody. I was like, do you think it's like 150, 200,000? Does it look like almost a Rolls Royce type? And I look it up, it starts with like $50,000, you know? So this is a good offering. People did not make it political here, and in most of the world. And these cars are literally cheaper. Every time I get into a Grab, that's what we call Uber here. I get into a ride sharing car and it's a beautiful or any type of an electric car. I speak enough Thai now to ask, like, oh, it's an electric car. Why did you buy? And every freaking answer, every goddamn time, oh, I save money. I get a better car. It's got more technology. My screen goes like this. I got all these lights. I got this and that and that. And it's cheaper. You know what I mean? That is how you win consumers. But in America right now, and I think in Europe also, we have not done as an industry a good job getting people to switch to electric cars. And a lot of people are basically either moving back, right? Like one of the earlier comments, or they're delaying their decision to buy an electric car because they're saying, well, listen, what do you want me to do? I live in this apartment complex. I like it here. I'm not going to move just to get a different type of a car. That's crazy. And guess what? They do not have a dedicated electric car charger. So not even a thing. And I'm not willing to go and drive to Supercharger or Electrify America and maybe wait in line so I can wait another 45 minutes to charge the car and then I have to worry about it. People don't want to do that. This, unfortunately, we're not there where getting an electric car is a better deal than driving a gas car yet. Pricing wise, I think we're almost there. Like right now, the lease deals, the used car deals are amazing. But as far as being able to say, well, don't buy a gas car, you know, it's not a better advice like you're saying here. I understand you mean well, but it's just not reality yet. I can tell you what the reality looks like, right? Norway and Asia now, where these cars are just cheaper, better, and it's not a no-brainer. There's no political bullshit going on. But it's definitely something that the industry has really failed so far. And I think, like I mentioned earlier, things are getting worse. There are more electric cars, and there's less and less, chargers per car, um, creating more and more problems, and no one's solving it. That's another hand. You know, I know we passed, in America, the huge infrastructure bill was passed, and I know they're slowly building it out. Not fast enough. Not fast enough. So we can't say that yet. We need to do better. We need to do better. All right. Um. Oh, RP says the Rial, monetary unit of Iran, Oman, and Yemen. I don't think it's the same currency, because I think that Cambodian king is on their money. I don't want to dig into my paperwork right now. Oh, and apparently also in Brazil. I learn something new from you guys every day. Psychonomics says, I don't have the problem dating in the US, and I make way too much money here to move overseas. So you opening a bit can of words. Like, it depends. I've noticed that a lot of men don't realize how low their standards are for women. They don't even realize it. I can give you some tests. You know, I can ask you, what does your first date looks like? How far do you drive versus how far she drives? Who pays for, and how much you spend, and what do you get out of it? And is she late? What in America, most women did not even say thank you when I would pay for dinner, just the basic stuff. But I've noticed that men, and I've researched this because I have this, debates with a lot of my friends around the world, is the way to be successful with women in America is, unfortunately, and there's a new word for it, you can look it up, is to simp. I'm not saying you are specifically this, but if I tell you what my dates are like here and my experiences with traditional Thai women, um, you're going to be willing to wait to forfeit a lot of money to be here. So, and don't forget, yeah, no, dating, sure, you can date all you want in all kinds of countries, yes, especially if you have money. But also the question is, are you buying this women one way or another? You know, um, a lot of times the answer is yes. You have to. You know, where here women, like, when I was in Cambodia, I was on this date with a girl who I had to reprimand in the middle of the day. I said, if you sneak your barcode for the payment one more time, I'm driving you home. That's it. Because she just could not. She would just continuously try to pay. Um, it is just day and night. So, but what I'm saying is, like, dating is one thing. Can you find a wife? I had no problems dating in America either, but I could not find a wife over the last 4 or 5 years of trying. So I like I said, I don't want to offend anybody here, because you guys are all very nice to me and we're having a conversation about electric cars. But if I examine what your dating life is like, um, I will probably end up laughing and I'll probably end up crying. I'm just saying. However, there are some. Well, you just replied to me, so I'll answer. But there are some men who have no problems. For example, paying, just paying for women, and listen, respect, as long as that's your thing. But if you think that these girls are into you, but as long as you're sponsoring their dinners and trips and all, well, again, like then we're talking about very, very different things. All right, so you replied saying, Alex, I live in Jacksonville, so women here are nice. Listen, I bet not as nice as here. You know what I mean? They always thank me and hug me after dates. I've also dated in the Philippines, so I get the contrast, but not every American man is getting. Listen, here's the thing. If you're really having the same type of experience in Florida as you're in Philippines, which, man, I just have a hard time believing that, right? And again, there are people who come to Philippines and Thailand and having very American experiences. So that could have been it, including just buying as girls. So I need to know more. Thank me. They always thank me after the day. That wasn't my experience, and that's not even my experience here with Westernized or Western women. They're so entitled they don't think this is something they're supposed to thank you for. You know what I mean? Like that's their thing. And again, maybe you're really, really just finding this amazing way to date. But that's if you go on and either see what the dating coaches are saying in America, or go into the men's groups and hear what men have to say about their experiences with dating. Um, that's not how it happens, you know. And every time a guy tells me like, oh no, I had no problems dating in America, what you talking about, once I start asking questions, once I start, you know, it's always one of the two things. I'm sorry, the guy is either paying for the girl one way or another, or he's simping for the girl one way or another. And again, listen, if you're fine, if you're fine, if you don't want to take the red pill, that's fine. I respect that. Or maybe you're one of those very, very unique men who somehow figured out how to do this, but it's it's not it's not how it happens for the rest of the men. Um, Mr. Ross says, personally, I've never been a dater. I have tried it, and logically, it made no sense to me. I stopped even flirting, not because of the fear of rejection. Um, it's the fear of me cursing them out. uh, well, okay. So here's the thing. Mr. R, you might be just lucky guy who just doesn't want women in general. I don't mean sexually. I mean like Um, but at the end of the day, I'm one of those men who I think is my life is better with a good woman by my side. It's still amazing without one. And there are ways how you can subsidize that, right? But I this is just me. And I think there are a lot of men is like, look, for example, I don't want kids, but a lot of men want to be fathers and be kids with women who will be good mothers and good housewives, or just good wives, and last for a long time. And not be afraid that they're going to be like trapped in this alimony child support hell of basically bankruptcy. I know men who are like make good money and still owe alimony. I mean, to me, it's just you know. So, good for you if you really don't need to date. But I personally have always been in amazing relationships with amazing traditional women, and I would like to do it at least one more time. But hopefully for the rest of my life. Um, but for some people it's not a thing, and that's fine. I can only talk or advise men who actually want to, right? If you're not, it's not your thing, that's cool. Psychonomics says, I only do coffee, drinks, dates for first dates. Absolutely 100% agree. I actually have pretty much a limit of, like, I try to spend such a small amount, which is usually a cup of coffee, simply because that um, takes out a really, really like majority of gold diggers and women who are going after your money, especially here. A lot of women do go after foreigners specifically for that, one way or another. But yeah. Listen, like I said, okay, so you continue. You've been in Thailand how long now, and still haven't found what you're looking for, or am I wrong? You're wrong and you're right at the same time. I haven't found what I'm looking for, but I know what it takes to find what I'm looking for. I It looks like that the type of a girl who I would probably end up marrying does not speak English. I can explain if you want, but that's what I found. Even Thai women, like I don't date foreign women. Just allergic to it at this point. But Thai women who speak English and Thai women who don't speak English day and night. I've casually dating and dated women who don't, both, right? And that's how I know. But Thai language is extremely difficult language to learn. It's probably one of the most difficult things that I'll ever um, uh, do. And probably so. It's been only a year. You saying, well, it's been a year. You should have been married by now. No, it's only been a year. I'm probably 2 more years removed from being able to speak Thai, where I can like go out on a date with a girl and have a decent conversation with her. So I know what it takes. I am working on it. Learning Thai is my number one priority over everything, except for maybe my health, but over my business, over everything. Learning Thai is my number one priority. I was actually just in a small acting role in the popular Thai drama here, speaking Thai. So I'm getting there. But that's why. So I have to learn Thai. Also, you think a year is enough to learn everything about the culture, especially like dating? I mean, My friend, if you've been in, you said Philippines, right? You know that traditional women, unless you go for different type of women, but traditional women are not found on dating apps. They're not sitting in Starbucks and they're not smiling and flirting with you on the bus or whatever. Okay, they are not easy to find like physically, and even if you see them around, they're not going to allow you to approach them. So, okay, Mister, expert data, how do you find a good traditional woman in these countries? Took me a while to find out. Also, the way they date is extremely different. As a matter of fact, I just learned a big lesson the other day that took me a year and 4 months to learn. A very simple lesson. So I think we might be different, living on different planets and dating very different type of women. Because the type of women that I'm going after, you cannot just come up with no language or culture understanding and just boom, you're in. It's going to take a while, and I'm willing to invest. I'm still having a great time, and like I said, just even by casually dating, I'm getting to know the culture and dating culture and stuff like that. But if you think in 1.5 years, let's even say that you would just show up and fight, this is why I need to this is why I want to have this channel. I need to educate men that these wives are not waiting for you at the airport. It will be a while for you to find them. Could be years. For me, it will be years, and it's going to be well worth it. So that's my answer. Let me catch up. Um, yes, the champ. Mr. Ross says, Alex, I would love to be in love, but rather be alone than be with someone who does not love or on the way to it. I agree with you. Like I agree with you. I'm a Sigma male. The reason say I do not date because I'm a closer. Now listen, everyone's got their own thing, right? For me, I know what I want. I've been in relationships with women. My um, my model of a family is exactly what I've seen from my parents. They've been married for over 50 years. It's a successful model, obviously. So I know what I want, and I've been in those relationships. It's just it's no longer in America, and it's okay. So I moved, and now I've started a new life here, and I will hopefully sooner or later find one. However, there is, and I know quite a few men who decide that, you know what, the juice is not worth the squeeze anymore. And I see some of the truth to it, because like, even if you find one, and that's what happened to me in America. My last girlfriend was amazing until she wasn't, until she kind of got corrupted by social media and her coworkers and just the culture, and no longer a traditional woman, right? Um, Obviously Western culture is coming here as well. That's why I know that not speaking English is essentially the protection against being infected by this modern women feminist virus that essentially, to me, make these women no longer wife material. So yes, passport bro is the correct name. I hate it. I probably not even going to use it for my channel, because when you see those guys calling themselves passport bros, they are not. They come to this country. They have not improved themselves. They are not high quality men. They go after women who they essentially buy, and the only difference is that they can buy prettier girls here in Southeast Asia than they could ever in America. That's the only difference. These are not passport bros. These are, and by the way, if you really met a traditional woman in Southeast Asia, you would never ever put her on social media with you and brag about her, and she would never be on camera with you. So what you're watching on social media is a complete bullshit. This is not what this is about. Definitely not what I'm about. So it is yeah, I hate it. That's why I hate the term. It's already been hijacked. It's already been tainted and damaged. So I'm actually been feel free to help me, guys. What would be a better term for someone like me? You know, because once I find my wife, you will never see her on camera with me. Just like you probably never seen my ex. Maybe a few times, because she did also drive my car and we did have some conversations about it. But here, nope, 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 nope. I know many who live in various countries overseas Most marry traditional women within months. I'm sorry, bullshit. When you get to a new country, you don't know shit. It takes a long time to learn the culture. Okay. And no traditional woman will marry anybody, especially a foreigner from a different country, in 4 months. That's just by definition. Okay. You better court her. You better get to know her very well. You better get to know her family very well. She better understand that you're not here just for fucking around and you're going to leave, that you are learning the language, you are learning the culture, you are going to be here to stay. None of it is possible in 4 months, even if you met her on the way to the hotel once you landed. So, just that statement, I got to tell you, these are not traditional women. The traditional woman is not going to marry you within months. Uh, okay, I used to work for international stock brokerage firms, so many of friends met women in East Asia. I'm telling you, majority of these dudes marry the worst type of and date the most type of worst type of women here. They're not traditional at all. You know, so no, I'm sorry, man. I mean, I don't mind disagreeing on different, like for example, standards. What you want out of a woman. So it's like some men want a woman with a career who's very smart and educated, and some don't. And there's no right or wrong answer here. It's just it is what it is. But as far as what a traditional woman is, this ain't it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And don't forget, I live here. Like, I live here. I know you have some friends who told you some tales, and you might think no, I live here. And not only I live here, like this has been a passion of mine because I'm going to start a channel about it. So it is what it is. All right, you say my field is psychology, behavior economics, and macroeconomics. So I'm not exactly naive about human behavior. Sure, but my field is living here. You know what I'm saying? And I gotta tell you, my observation, I'm very, very social. And I've talked not only in person but online. I participate in communities. I've given interviews to quite, popular podcasts about this subject. And like I said, I'm gonna put together a course about this because I feel like I know enough on both sides. But like I said, I'm sorry. As soon as you say these dudes show up and boom, they have a wife in a few months, bullshit. Okay, they have sugar babies or gold diggers that wanted to marry them, but there's absolutely zero chance a traditional woman would marry you in months of you just showing up. So I'm sorry, we're just no, just no, no, never happened. Um, you're speaking about people you know nothing about. Okay, who are those people? Um, and then, all right. Oh, look at that. Eli Burton is here. Eli, what's going on, man? Let me know if you want to jump on. I probably have a little bit more in me. If you want to jump on, I'll send you a link. If not, that's cool. But it's good to see you. It's 2:30 in the morning here. My favorite time of the day. Yeah, Mr. R is right. Most men basically would go for the easiest to when they're traveling. It's human nature. The expats here, men who move here permanently or at least for a long time, um, they go for the easiest, right? Like for example, they don't want to take 3 to 5 years to learn the language, so they end up with a tiny little segment of women, who have been westernized because they have to speak English, right? They've been westernized, and a lot of them have been, already used to what Western man give them, and a lot of them feel entitled to it, and blah 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 blah. So, yes, I see a lot of men coming here, and because they're lazy, because again, moving to another country is not going to get all of this all of a sudden magic done. You have to be a better man. You have to be a better man first. Because these traditional women, if you think they're just going to go after you because you're a white dude or you got money, no, that's not how it works. Like a lot of people think, like, all these women need to be saved and everything. They don't need to be saved. These people are much happier, even though they make tiny little portion of what we made in the Western world. They're much happier than an average Western person and they live with their families. They don't need your fucking condo with a view. They're their homes are homes, because of the families and meals that they share together. They don't need your goddamn condo, okay? So you like people think that, oh, well, but those who do go after condos and choose them over their families, those are the ones that you see on social media. Those what it seems like your friends are going after. Very different thing. Yes, Eli. We started as an electric car conversation, but I'm kind of running some ideas by these guys, and I'm having very interesting conversations. Even though we're going back and forth, I'm learning interesting things from this. Just showed up at a hilarious part of the conversation with no context. The context. Um, um, Eli is already in bed. Yes, please do not turn your webcam on when you're in bed. So, but it's good to see you, man. Have a good night, absolutely. But I'm going to stick around a little bit longer. Um, the vast majority of people are, you should get on the webcam with me so we can have this back and forth. The vast majority of people are defensive and have no idea how to be genuine. Learn to secure and genuine, and you won't have problems dating women. Yeah, I can ask you, are you married yourself? Because I've noticed that a lot of people who, men specifically also, who've been in relationships and marriages for a long time, don't even understand how the dating world has changed into completely something that most of my married friends cannot even comprehend. Not because they're stupid, because the dating scene is stupid and they just can't lower their intellectual levels to like even understand this, you know? Um, all right, so the vast majority of people yeah, no, it takes more than that. It used to be, like all you have to do is be a good man, like a good man, be educated, be kind, make decent income, don't have bad habits, have good friends, treat women well. You're gonna have a good woman by your side, and that's what I've always had, uh, but now nobody cares about that stuff anymore. These women don't care about your education. Then most of the time, it's just all of this out of the window. Like the other day, we had a friendly conversation. Said, Alex, I don't know why. No, 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 no. I'm being realistic. I'm no longer a high value man because value is only determined by the marketplace. Yes, I used to be a high value man because my education, my income, my travel experience, my lack of bad habits, and my good decision making and all of that stuff that mattered. But now, since it doesn't matter, my value on that marketplace has fallen. So what I did, and I encourage other men to do, is find places where you are appreciated as a man. And for me, it's no longer America, unfortunately, because I actually did have a great time in America. I may live in a bubble in some ways because I live in a nice historic district and date locals that meet when I walk around. Um, if you are, then I'm very jealous because I looked for those bubbles. I don't know if you know, like I before leaving for Thailand, I have actually gotten all of my belongings into my car that sometimes actually ran well, ID4. And I traveled to other cities and states for a while, and I even settled in Houston, Texas, which I kind of fell in love with. And so I've tried many different communities, and it just it's a general Western culture. It's no longer a macro culture that determines these. So, um, like I said, I just don't know you well enough, and I wish we could have like a more like in person conversation. Like, because like I said, every time a man in America or in a European country says, "Oh, I have no problems dating women," and again, dating is different than it usually turns out to be unfortunately one of those two things that I've already described almost every time. And a lot of times I will tell him, man, I said, you're simping for your women, right? How dare you? I'm an alpha male. Yeah. And I actually lost a friend recently because of that. I told him, like, you're simping. I'm sorry, you're not an alpha male. You can call yourself one if you'd like, but it's not true. If you're doing these, this, and these things, that you're the opposite of that. And lost a friend because of that. Not everybody can take honesty. All right, let's get some new people in it. But before that, Mr. R says It ain't no more bubbles. They all got busted by Bratty Baby. Okay, that's an interesting way of putting that. All right, Fifi Dunkor. I know just what you mean. Me and you come here, Ghana, Africa, and meet a girl in the club, marry, and I think they're found a queen. Traditional women are usually do not hang out where foreigners do. Exactly. Thank you. This is what I'm trying to explain. I've been here for over a year, and I go out almost every time. I gotta tell you, these women, the actual traditional women, do not talk to foreigners. They don't speak our language. They speak Thai. I know there are exceptions like Philippines and a few others where the language itself is also English that everybody speaks. But majority of these countries. But I'm kind of giving you Thailand as an example. It's like you can't find them. They go to work at a flower shop, deal with women all day, and come back and have dinner with their families. They'll walk in the park with their friends once in a while or whatever. That's it. They're not seen. They're also not on Instagram posting bikini pictures. A lot of these women, like one of the biggest green flags here and everywhere should be in women is when I ask for her Instagram, she goes, "Oh, I don't have Instagram." I get the white dress ready, girl. Um, they're not on Instagram. They're not on Tinder. They're not on dating apps. Okay, they're not in short skirts going out to clubs and stuff like that. You can only meet them in very very small occasions, and in that and many times is when a Thai person who's your friend sees you as a foreigner who is adapting to the culture and will introduce you to his niece or sister or friend. That's how you meet those women. You have no access to them by yourself, essentially. You can approach them at, let's say, on the bus, jump on the bus, approach them in the night market. And they will be kind enough to give you their phone number and everything. But the conversation very quickly will die because essentially she'll be like, no, I don't know this guy. He doesn't speak my language. I don't know. I hear that foreigners come over here and do all these shitty things and then leave, dump these women. I don't want that. So yeah, like it's um all right. So I agree with you. Mr. R says Alex asked the men how many times they made it to the third date. um yeah, that's a good point. I rarely do, okay, Psychonomics says, I'm not an alpha male. That's the thing. I try to be humble and I'm sweet. Well, then I'm kind of, maybe I'm right, because the thing is, traditional women require you to be a pretty much an alpha male. I know it's now very much a toxic word, but it's still a thing. Um, so, yeah, I mean, submissive traditional women require you to be a strong traditional alpha male, essentially. Um, like I said, I feel like if I pick your dating life apart, I will find one of those two things. Uh, you know, Carl says Thailand has lower life expectancy in the US, including males. My internet search results. That's not what my internet search results say, but I'll let me do that. Life expectancy of Thai. Hmm. Let's see. All right. So yeah, this is a little bit tough because uh, it's 79 years. Life expectancy of American man. Dude, I literally just Googled it. The life expectancy of a Thai man, it comes up to almost 79. Life expectancy of American man, it comes up a little over 76. I mean, are we using different Googles? Man, just I fucking hate this. Like, come on, man. I literally Googled it just now on the spot. And don't get me wrong. When I was moving here, I did research that as well. Because to me, that was part of research for healthcare. Because at the end of the day, how long does this healthcare system keep your life? That's kind of an important question, right? Um, yeah, exactly. Mr. Zin, my dream woman is not on social media. I agree. Um, Alex, you're thinking within a Western paradigm about Western women. It's a bit of a general statement. Give me an example. I'm ready to debate that. If you do that, you will fail. Again, be specific. I have to take your each message within itself. RP says alpha male term is more douchey than toxic. Unfortunately, it has become one because of social media. By the way, I never thought of myself, I never even knew this term. It just came in at some point. I was like, oh, I guess that matches. But then, like, people made it toxic or douchebaggy, and men who claiming to be alpha males are come across as douchebags. So it's been hijacked just like passport bro, right? Um, anybody can. Oh, sorry, you said anybody can train themselves to have that behavior. Alpha suggests you're born with it. No, most men cannot train themselves. I think most men are not able to, and sometimes they don't want to. They don't need to. Like, I'm not preaching. I'm just saying, if you're a traditional man, let's forget about alpha male. But like, if you're a traditional man looking for a traditional woman, um, you need to have a lot of these qualities. But I think one of the most important ones, besides being a provider, is a good decision maker. You have to make good decisions, not just for yourself, which most people don't, but also for your wife and children if you have them. I think that's one of the most important things. Have to look past what's on the surface and focus on what's beneath. Well, that's what I'm here. It's not like there were no beautiful women in America. Um, that's why I'm here. Mr. Ross says, type people are healthier. 70% of Americans are overweight, including me. There are very few overweight people here, very few, and most have free healthcare. Most. Okay, Carl, listen. I googled it. I googled it for you, and I know part of your my research when moving to Thailand was the life expectancy of Thai men and American men. And by the way, there's no, like, listen, there's almost no crime here, so not too many are getting shot. Food here is sourced much better, much better. People with gluten allergies come here and eat gluten, man. They're just well sourced. They're not raped by a bunch of freaking GMO stuff and post processing chemicals. Um, the life here is just tougher. So you have to walk further, you have to work harder, a lot of physical work. A lot of people work 12-hour days every day without days off or with one day off. So people are just more fit. They are definitely skinnier. They eat better food, and most of them have healthcare. So, like, I don't even need the freaking Google statistics. I can have my eyes and I have my brain. Like, it's no brainer, you know. Alex, the alpha beta paradigm is simplistic and actually runs quite counter to evolutionary psychology. Well, again, when you make a statement, you got to explain it. I know we're kind of going back and forth with, like, I know you have a more limit to just type. But listen, let's forget about terms. I'm just saying you need to be a good, strong provider who's a good decision maker, at the very least, with no bad habits and good track record, right? To attract and to be able to have a successful relationship with a traditional woman. I mean, I feel like that's a fair statement, you know. Um, Yeah, I mean that's a good question, Mr. R. Like, how many people here have really traveled? And even that is a bad question. Like, people go like, "Oh, I've been to 5 countries or 10 countries," and then again, whenever people say something, and then you start asking questions, and turns out like, well, yes, you have spent 5 days on the territory of a country, Mexico, but your stupid ass was at the resort made for Americans, where everybody spoke English, and then you left, and that's not Mexico. So people just don't even know how to travel. People come to Thailand all the time. I know the areas where they stay at. That's not Thailand. It's not Thailand. You want to see Thailand? Let me show you Thailand. Prepare to not meet any people who speak English. Prepare to eat some, street food. Prepare to, have no air conditioning. There you go. But you're not willing to do that, right? You're gonna go. I know where you're gonna go. Which mall you're gonna go? Which street you're gonna end up at? Which bar eating traditional Thai food of pizza and burgers you're gonna be? And then you're gonna come home and say, "I've been to Thailand." No, sorry. Cybernomics says, Alex, no, you do not have to have those characteristics. You meet women on an emotional level. Uh, I don't even know what that means. At the end of the day, you have to create a family. And traditional family is where man is the leader and a provider and a decision maker. Uh, and a woman is a caretaker and a mother and all of that stuff, right? And it's just like, don't shoot the messenger here. That's how it is. And I'm proudly saying that because that's what I want. Um, and you do have to have those characteristics. I mean, these women, traditional women, are looking for a provider. They're looking for the leader. If you don't have those characteristics, that's not going to work. They're not going to go. They're not going to marry you. Um, you don't have to have a high earner. I'm not saying you have to have a high earner, but you have to be a provider. See, like, this is why we're speaking different languages. I mean a provider, meaning provide a stable, safe home. You don't have to put in a not a penthouse, not a mansion, but you need to put a roof over or ahead and make sure it's in secure place, secure neighborhood. Make sure that there's food on the table. Make sure that there's money to pay for health care. That's not a high earner. That's just an earner. Assertive or particularly good decision making. You absolutely have to be all those things. I don't need to be able to reach women emotion. You need to need. No. I mean, yes, you need to reach women emotionally. That's how the connection happens. But you have your duties and responsibilities, uh, and they have nothing to do with your emotions. Um, Steven says, "Have you talked to Warren lately? How's his marriage going?" Um, I have to talk to. And I don't know about lately. I think I talked to him a couple of weeks ago. I haven't. I kind of. I mean, I think we both step back from each other a little bit. Um, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. He's not doing anything wrong. I'll tell you that, and he's definitely living his best life. Um, I just, again, I don't want to disclose any personal information that I know just from our private conversations, but yeah, and I definitely still not really cool with how he behaves himself on social media and Twitter and stuff like that. Like, I I introduced him to a few people because like we all try to you know um, recommend CPAs or barbers or whatever to each other. And whenever I do that, I always have to say, just so you know, this is his Twitter account. I'm not cool with that, so I'm recommending you to him. But if you're not cool with that either, it's up to you if you want to contact and do business with him. Like, I have to do that every time. Um, but I also the things like I fucking hate Twitter. I don't. I mean, I see his messages once in a while, and I wish I didn't. I don't know what he posts on about the marriage, so I don't know how much extra information I know that he doesn't post publicly. Um, let's see. Alex, if you were correct, then every man average or below would be hopeless in terms of romantic relationships, and that empirically is simply untrue. Um, yes, that's true now. My microphone. It is. It's true now. It hasn't been true for the last 5 years or so. Um, but yes, that's what I'm trying. This is why I think that there is no chance for a man looking for a traditional woman in America anymore. Definitely not for an average man. I mean, and it's not just my opinion. Like, it is almost everyone's opinion who's researched and lived it. Mr. R says, personally, I'm in my 50s. I'm not trying to have kids. I would like for her to work at least a little. Uh, Completely agree so far. I'm not trying to get with an IG model or anyone that would want to hold a text conversation. Absolutely agree. Fuck is wrong with my microphone? Sorry. The fact is that the bulk of college educated Americans have marriages that don't fail. Yeah, the previous generation. What I'm saying is what's happened in the last 5 years is unprecedented. It's a completely different mutation of men and women now. So yes, there are marriages that are going to last because they're frozen in time, but men and women are just not dating anymore, like for real, for marriage. It's a problem. Uh, yes, I know my mic volume keeps changing. I'm actually, the reason that sometimes I go like is because I'm changing it back. You know. Um, yeah, I know what to do. Sorry, I'm trying to continuously put it back, but it is what it is. The divorce rate of Americans with college degree is under 26%. That is due to a lot of people who have higher education actually sticking around in a marriage. Sorry, and these are not good reasons. For example, for the sake of the kids. Okay, so you can technically correlate a marriage, but it's not really marriage anymore. So there's a lot of that. You see that all the time, right? A lot of men don't want to get divorced because they know they're going to get devastated with alimony and basically child support and stuff like that. So those shouldn't count. So on a paper, yes, but also don't forget the majority of the divorces are initiated by college educated women. So there's another side of that. So like these statistics don't really mean that much. And honestly, 26 fucking percent, that doesn't scare you. To me, it's a huge failure rate. I mean, a man has so much more to lose in a Western country when he marries a woman, especially most of the time women make less, right? And usually kids stay with her when there's a divorce. So uh, if you go if I'm gonna put you in a rental car and have you drive around and tell you, like, listen, there's 26% chance these tires are gonna blow and you're gonna fucking smash into a truck into a opposite lane. Don't you think it's a little high? Are you gonna get into the car? No. A divorce in America for a man who earns good money is a freaking disaster. 26% is very high. But I'm telling you that if you actually look at the numbers of how many people are having happy marriages, right? And again, you will find out that it's definitely much closer to 50, if not more. I got to tell you, most of the marriages that I know, uh, are not happy marriages, or they make it happy, or they'll tell you they're happy, but then you start asking questions about like how often and when, and they're like, oh, well, it's not a marriage, it's a roommate arrangement now, like co-parenting arrangement. So I'm sorry, it's and like I said, like to me, I education is not a positive quality in my future wife. It's just not there. It's not on the list. Kindness. I'm getting really tired of this microphone. I'm not gonna lie. Let's see. There's more statistics, but the thing is, this statistics is done in different ways, and you can once you unpack it, you realize this all is not what you thought the statistics means. None of my guys, I'm gonna try to redo it. Hold on, sorry. I'm gonna leave it this way. Okay, I'm sorry, because this is faster to just undo it. So sorry if I'm now lower level, just up the volume. Alex, none of my friends are divorced. A few of my neighbors are divorced. Is that representative of the broader population? No. Okay, well, there's your answer. But why should we? Why should we think? Oh, you little. Hold on a second. Okay. Can you still hear me? Sorry, my mic is now all over the place every 3 seconds. Is that? But why should we think your anecdotals are any better? My anecdotals are not better. They're better than most, but they're still anecdotals. Is because I'm telling you there's a reality of, paper marriage and an actual happy marriage. Like, I don't care about being part of the statistics of, oh, you're still officially married. I want to be part of the statistics of happy people in happy marriages, and those are brutally bad. And like I said, I know men who are essentially have a role of a woman or even a child in a marriage. Like, they have curfews and and they're very happy with those marriages. So, but for me, I can only speak for me and men like me, and that's what we're looking for. So again, not even preaching. However, if you think that there hasn't been a major change in how men and women behave, and what women have to offer now versus what men are required to offer, if you don't think that has changed to ridiculous levels, where men either leave these countries like me or stop dating, like I think Mr. R, right? And I know quite a few friends as well. You need to take a red pill. Carl says, "Yep, Americans are large, used to travel and live abroad." I don't even know what that means. Ask the happily married couple how many times a day they contemplate suicide. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, happiness is a funny thing, right? Because even if you ask a person if they're happy, they may not give you a real answer. And it can be, people are really good at lying to themselves. I've done it many times. I've caught myself lying to myself because it's easy. It's easy it's so much easier to live a shitty life if you're lying about it to yourself. It's so much easier, right? And a lot of people, they're stuck in these marriages, right? I know a lot of men who go like, oh my goodness, I can't leave this marriage because I'm not going to see my kids. I'm going to live in a 1-bedroom apartment while she's going to get the house, and I'm going to pay for her new boyfriend's Mercedes. Like, that's my alternative. And I don't want to do that. So they stay in a marriage. And you know what? Women also have their own things where they stay in marriages for the kids while maybe being in an abusive relationship. So listen, I can only tell you what a happy marriage for me is. And I can tell you it ain't with an American woman or Western woman or Westernized woman. So, I just don't like when men say, oh, it's easy to date in America. Well, and I guess it is. Not for me, though. I have high standards for what a girl needs to be for me to commit my money and time, which is my two most valuable resources, where I have everything to lose and she doesn't. I'd rather be alone if I can't find it. But I think I'm close. It sounds like you know a lot of men who are at lower value-added levels of life consumption. I don't know what that means, but I know a lot of different men. There are men who are, well, I mean, I know a lot of different men with different lifestyles and requirements for happiness and requirements for dating. But I think majority of people who I know deep down are not happy, I agree with Steven. If men did not have rules in marriages, it would be total chaos. But the thing is, they don't. A lot of times it's the woman who runs the show. Nothing worse to be, okay, actually here, psychonomics, tell me, do you believe this? Happy wife, happy life. Have I ever have a happy marriage? Absolutely. I've never been married in America. I never would. That is this is one of the worst contracts you can ever sign. A man like me who makes way more money than a woman he's with to jeopardize there's no freaking way. I would get married here. Absolutely. There's no punishment for divorce, but I've been in happy long-term relationships that outlasted, I think, an average marriage in America. But I've never, ever have and ever would get officially married in America. Absolutely not. Have I been in happy relationships? Yes. Every relationships I've been in have been a happy relationship. For me, at least. I can't speak for them, but they've lasted for a while, so it must have been good on some levels. Psychonomics says, if not, then how do you know what a happy marriage takes? Well, like I said, I've been in a happy relationship. To me, marriage is a paperwork. To me, happiness comes from a relationship. Marriage is, like I said, it's just a term, it's just a paperwork. Do I currently have a girlfriend? Um, like a serious relationship? No. It's going to be a while. Like I said, I need to learn Thai to have a girlfriend that I would hopefully marry one day. But am I casually dating women? Yes, they're all amazing. And I think one of them is at least watching, I think. So it's easy as hell to date, but the trick is this: will she be a quality person for the person who you are? Exactly. That's why I've been saying already many times. Like, yeah, dating is easy, but finding that one girl to wife up, that's almost impossible. And I claim it's pretty much impossible in America. Mood is operationalized as a net present value of future. That's a lot of long words together. Um, yeah, like I said, I don't want to have kids, so that's not even for me. Um, yeah, especially if you live in Cali, that is like, California is honestly, I used to love California so much, and I would never ever go back. I mean, unless to visit my family, right? But like, I would never live there. I want to have nothing to do with that state. They've done so many shitty things to me and people like me. No, thank you. Um, yeah, well, so happy wife, happy life. It's probably, and it's a number one way to tell that the guy's a simp, right? It's essentially, it's just such a sad life. And I know many men who actually live that. Such a sad way to live your life. Um, okay, so maybe I missed your previous message, but I don't think so. All you said was I didn't have to learn Thai, but it helped. You didn't have to learn Thai to do what? If you want to enjoy this country, and I think if you want to find the best quality women, you'll have to learn Thai. As a matter of fact, I mean, honestly, I don't mean to be a dick, but like when I lived in America, and and people would come in here and come there and not learn English at all and make no effort. My thing was always like, go back to your country. If you want to live here in America, you should learn the language. Otherwise, why are you here? I'm very clear on that. Same thing here. I feel like if I come to Thailand and I want to live here, I need to learn the language. That or get the hell out. So I'm honestly like, when I meet foreigners here who don't, and they're not even trying to learn Thai, and like we'll start talking, I was like, oh, you've been here for 5 years or 10 years, oh, do you speak Thai? And the person goes like, oh, I don't even try. We'll never be friends. This is the last conversation I'm going to have with you. There's no reason to this though. Happy life, happy wife within reason. What reason? You already left. This assumes that your entire everything that you need to do is to make sure that your wife is happy. And that's all that matters. What about your happiness? Like, this already assumes that your happiness does not matter. And that's how a lot of marriages are run nowadays. So what reason? That's already, we're done with the reason, with any type of reason. Um, there's some, the point is there's an economics to psychology and behavior, and failing to understand that means failing to understand human behavior. I think you're getting too philosophical here and too almost like mechanical about this. I like everything is much simpler. And the thing is, we have thousands of years of how family unit has worked. Not always perfectly, but that's just, and by the way, not just in humans, just like in animals. You can see like how things are done in animal kingdom too. So a healthy couple has two people making each other happy. Oh, we finally agree on something. I agree. But that goes against happy life, happy wife, happy life, right? Um, we're not talking about electric cars anymore. I can't even scroll far up to even, right? Yeah, to get anything. Oh, here's one. For a second, excuse me, we're going to talk about electric cars, but actually I need to go to bed soon because we've been doing it for more than 2 hours. No Left Turn says, I compared driving my Tesla Model Y 300 miles against driving a RAV4 ICE in St. Louis, where 60% of the electricity comes from burning coal and a Tesla produces more CO2. Yeah, if you compare it that way, yes, of course. But that's not what happens in most of that's not where trends are going for sure. But where was this? Oh, St. Louis. Oh yeah, it's one of the last places that's probably going to get the infrastructure, which includes green energy. But there are some cities and I think some states where like the majority of the electricity comes from the green sources, right? So yes, if you take this one scenario that's going to go away no matter where you're at, and I still don't trust your math here because no, I guess I do, because yeah, if you definitely take all of the electricity that comes from specifically burning coal, then you might come to that conclusion. But that's not what reality is becoming, and it's changing. Because gas cars will always be polluting, right, with CO2. But electric cars, especially, the more like, why did you take that? Why didn't you take a Tesla Model Y that charges from solar panels? Like, it's kind of unfair. You almost knew what you wanted the answer to be, and you tried to find that rare scenario in that one part of the country that it actually makes it true. That's not only unfair but dishonest. So, like I said, take a Tesla Model Y and run it through a most common state where Teslas are, or an average state, right? Even just take Texas. Texas is getting pretty green, and you will see that a lot of this is not going to even close come up to this. Electric cars will win every time. You're also forgetting some other things. Is like, pollution in large cities like Bangkok is a big deal because that's how you get lung cancer. So if you have a bunch of cars not polluting into your lung cancer atmosphere here in a large city, and the pollution is actually making its way into atmosphere in rural areas and areas where it does not actually affecting air quality as much and to as many people, you still win. You still win. Because I don't know if you ever lived in cities that are polluted like New York or Los Angeles or Bangkok. It is a big freaking problem. It is humongous. Like, I'm literally thinking about moving out of Bangkok for 2 months out of the year and go to one of the beach places because that's how much it affects me and everybody. So there are other reasons why electric cars are good for you. Let's see. All right, guys, I'm going to answer a few more. And then honestly, I'm losing my voice and I'm losing my mind. Oh, Tom has joined us with some facts, which don't always work, Tom, when it comes to these people. And Tom, I would have offered you to join me, like split screen, but honestly, I'm just about to lose my voice. Tom says EVs emit less emissions in the US in all cases than even the most efficient ICE vehicles, even when they are charged with electricity made from coal. Well, see, I knew that I needed to check those numbers. And then Tom links to the study. Yeah, but here's the thing, Tom. I think, and thank you for, because I couldn't fact check while I'm doing the live stream at 3 o'clock in the morning. Here's the thing. You either, and I've seen this guy no left turns, right? He's quite extreme in his views. I feel like he's one of those people, and we have them in an electric car universe, like Tesla people, right? They have their own facts in their cult. When you have your mind set to something first, you will always find facts to support your false narrative. Uh, you know, and people do that because I mean statistics is so easy to manipulate, right? We were just talking about marriage, right? Oh, college educated people get divorced way less. Well, yeah, because they stay in marriages for kids a lot of times, which nullifies the whole point of being in a happy marriage. So, statistics are funny, right? But yes, and the most importantly, the trends. It's a lot about the trends. Like people like Kim always want to say, oh, like electric cars made it into the market, and now we're gonna figure out how bad they are for the environment. And they might have had a case in the beginning, but the trend is moving towards green energy, right? First, you have to have electric cars, then you have to have solar panels and green energy and so forth. Um, so but that is the factories becoming greener, right? The factories pollute less while they're making the electric cars. The factories pollute less while they're making batteries, and then the electricity that the cars use a lot of times is just completely 100% green. The trend is just skyrocketing in that direction, where no matter what you do, the electric cars are, the gas cars are going to burn gas and will always pollute no matter what. So look at the trend. We can't get everything at once. Oh, we have electric car, boom, everything is already fixed and everything. But we're moving in the right direction, and that direction is getting greener and greener. And I don't understand this whole thing is like people don't like, do they like lung cancer? Do they not like breathing? Do they not like their kids breathing? I don't get it. And Tom is right. At the end of the day, no amount of facts can change some people's opinions, right? And this is the danger of what's happening in America right now. There are two problems with this mentality, right? And let me bring the original, what we're talking about, post up, no matter how incorrect it is. Oh, it's way too far up. Sorry, it's way too far up. But the people's feelings and opinions now are considered to be facts. That's number one problem with the Western countries like America. And number two is, stupid people used to know that they're stupid, and they used to not talk about things. Like, for example, I know that I'm really bad at heart surgery. I'm stupid when it comes to heart surgeries. So if I'm standing in the middle of a room with a bunch of heart surgeons are talking about heart surgery, I will shut the fuck up because I'm stupid in that conversation. But people talk about stuff nowadays, and I a lot of times I have to defend myself. People will be like, well, I watched this one YouTube video, or I watch YouTube videos all the time, so I know better than you, Alex, who dedicated the last decade of your life traveling the world, talking to people who design and make these electric cars, from people who worked at the factories to people who run these companies, checked out the actual factories, check out the cars, like all of a sudden these people know better. Just like the entire country knew better than every single doctor about infectious diseases only a few years ago, right? This is the problem. The dumb people are, don't know how dumb they are. And this is when we get this, in situations where we can't convince them with facts and videotape anymore, and that's unfortunate. It's almost like you're describing, we're back to women now. Sorry, Tom. It's almost like you're describing epistemic closure, like what may describe some of your views on women and relationships. I don't know what epistemic closures are. Mr. R says social media has made everyone freaking expert, I guess, in everything. Yeah. Unfortunately. All right, guys. Honestly, I just can't talk anymore. I really wanted to just be here for 1 hour because, like I said, I went to emergency room and I thought I wasn't even going to be able to talk through more than half an hour. But somehow it is 3:30 in the morning. I've been live streaming for 2 hours and 15 minutes. And for some reason, you guys are also still around. So you know what? Let's continue next week. I'll try to go back to my Wednesday schedule. Maybe I will actually stick to maybe even Thursdays, because on Wednesday I know I switch my soccer games from Thursdays to Wednesdays. So maybe I will do it that way. Well, I don't know. We'll see. I'll still probably target Wednesdays. All right. This has been fun. I forgot all about fainting. So maybe my doctor was right that there's nothing wrong with me. But we'll find out. All right. Well, listen, thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for the conversation. I got to tell you, this have been the most civil conversations that I have been having with you guys. Not a single person like needed to be kicked out. Not a single person was respectful, no matter how harsh I was. So thank you to all of you guys who disagreed with me, whether vocally or silently. I appreciate it. I really do think that exchanging opinions and just knowing other people's opinions is important, which people don't do that anymore. Tom, thank you so much for joining us. Maybe we can just do it together next time, because most likely, Tom, and I think I already told you that, I will just stick to doing live streams on a weekly basis, maybe even twice a week, depends, rather than producing any type of other content. But me and you should talk, Tom. Actually, my audience already knows and you don't, but yeah. All right. Well, one thing is the second thing that me and Psychonomics will agree on is looks like Thai food. I think everybody agrees on Thai food. Is there anybody who hates Thai food? I don't think so. Yes, I've actually already enjoyed Thai food earlier today. Right now, I'm going to enjoy some Thai sleep, and before that, a Thai shower. So thank you so much, Psychonomics. Thank you for an awesome conversation. I love having debates. By the way, believe it or not, Psychonomics, I'm sorry I don't know your real name. As much as I push back to what you were saying, every time when I debate with somebody, I still bring something back, because I was like, there's somebody who has a very different opinion than me. Let me keep my eye open to things that this person said to see maybe I need to change my opinion a little bit, you know? So, yeah. Sean, I'm sorry. It's been way too long. I'm losing my voice. We will have to discuss it next week. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for an awesome conversation. Thank you for $100 in super chats. I can't believe it. And the call came from the same person who has been I'm going to go with Sugar Daddy at this point. I mean, I you know, it's pretty awesome. So thank you, Rob Miller, for that. And thank you, Tom. Thank you, Eli, for stopping by. These are the people who I wish I would co-host these with. But have a great afternoon, and I will see you guys next week. And remember to stay charged.